All right, Eric, you look like you're ready.
I am ready.
An itchy trigger finger. I like it. I like it.
Nice.
All right. Well, we're going to call it 7 o'clock. We'll give everybody a little bit more time to get signed on here. But I just want to say welcome, everybody. We did do a welcome chat as we're getting started and you're checking out the format of Zoom. During this first section of the discussion here today, we'll have everybody on mute except just Browning and Reed, so we can kind of do a little back and forth. But during that time, you're welcome to chat. And as you send in questions, we'll be grabbing them or trying to grab them throughout the discussion. And there'll be a Q&A at the end as well to be able to address some of that too. So if we don't address your chat specifically throughout the session, we can follow up on it afterwards. And we'll talk about that as we get to conclusion for any of those we don't get to. So I appreciate everybody making the time to be able to do this. And what do you say, Aaron? If they're going to keep us from having a gun fair, we're going to get as close as we can to it. And you know, thanks for your passion for Browning over and unders and trap guns. You wouldn't be on this Zoom session late on a Monday night at 7 p.m. If you weren't passionate about sporting and trap shooting. And we're fortunate to have some of the best players in the business being able to help that. We've got Eric Matheson, who you see with the correctly colored black and gold and Browning. We've got Aaron Sheldon, who can be the best ambassador for a customer in the business, and Browning here to help host us. So thanks for making the time to do it. A couple things we want to talk about just for the format. We're going to try and kick the first phase of this to about less than 30 minutes or so we have some time afterwards for Q&A. Not that we can't run long, but to organize the flow a little bit, we do want to talk about what the gun fair deals would have been. A few parameters for that I think are important for all Browning shoppers right now is the Browning gun fair deals are always hot pricing, and Aaron's gonna be able to talk and speak to some of that. Any of the deals that we would have been able to do at the gun fair, we can get done over the phone or via email after this. So being it's late in the evening, we'll probably be talking tomorrow. If you do want to call or you do want to send us a chat to follow up with tomorrow, shoot us an email. You're going to use hunting@reedsports.com for that email. And of course, just call and ask for the gun team tomorrow. We can kind of square up on deals, but it's important for everybody right now that the Browning sales tax rebate of 8% is going to be good through the gun fair weekend. So as we're talking about everything today, we've got that 8% kicker on top of whatever Reed's gun fair price would be. That's going to be a rebate that you can then get a reimbursement for 8% back to offset your sales tax. And plus, to make up for the gun fair not existing, we're going to ship any firearm that you buy through us through the Rice Creek window after the Zoom session to your local FFL dealer for free. So we just want to speed it up. We all respect the safety mechanisms and measures we all have to take. And so to keep things moving along, we want to be able to do that and keep things going. So we will be chatting throughout this session. We'll be responding to chats as we can. We'll have that Q&A at the end, like I mentioned. And I think without further ado, we should get things going. And for those of you, if you were walking in a gun fair booth and went to Browning, Eric would have been standing there ready to roll. We will have a Browning session talking A5s and Maxus and SX4s tomorrow with Dusty on autos, and then we'll be talking about X-bolts and BARs on Wednesday. But this is all about trap. This is all about over and unders. And so even some of the questions that are being asked and some of the chats we already see coming through, certainly, Eric, this is your forte. We're blessed to have you, call you a friend and a partner in the business. You've been doing this with Browning for 31 years. And I think we should just take it away. Tell us a little bit what's going on in the industry, and is Browning still making guns? How are we handling things right now? We know that it's obviously precious timing for those of us that want to get out as soon as the ranges open up on the 5th, we hope, or if not sooner. And then I'll let you and Aaron kind of take it away. So thanks for being everybody. And Eric, jump on in.
Yeah, you bet. So what's going on in the world with the shipping of guns into the country was Browning is shipping in guns on a regular basis, but I believe there's been quite a bit of a pullback on how much backstock. One of the nice things that Reed's has is a lot of inventory of some key firearms, which is awesome. And so we don't know what's going to transpire in the fall. I think guns will be much tougher to come by in the fall. But as we sit here today, we're in a very good situation with Reed's with having a good amount of inventory that they have preloaded in for this promotion. And so that's great for us to take advantage of. And this 8% is a really nice promotional thing on top of some of the great buys that Reed's has going on right now, I think Aaron will touch on.
Yeah. So Eric, I mean, and this is just kind of, I mean, it's almost comical how this, the COVID has already, come into play and everything. And as most of you know, we had already sent out our flyer, the deals are out there, et cetera. So we kind of, part of what Aaron's going to start off is, what would have been in those stacks, what the guns that, especially talk 725s, the sportings were advertised at $300 off. The Story Field sportings were all $300 off. So I think, Aaron, what would have been on those stacks? I'll let you and Eric just take it away.
You got those by and large all set up for us here, Eric. All
Yep.
the fun stuff that we would have had in the booth, just minus your great personality and smile in the booth. That's why you're there and I'm not. We'll just start off with the 725 series because we would have had or do have a great inventory of those. And you're right, come September, we're going to be short. So at further ado, the 725 field, specifically the 28-inch, at $330 off at $2,069. Phenomenal shotgun. And I've got laying next to it the next most popular one that we work with, at least in this store, which would be the sporting version, 725 30-inch. I also have this in 20 gauge. There are some fit differences and some feature differences, Eric, between the field and the sporting. If you want to throw that out to those guys, kind of give them a feel for what we got going on without holding the gun.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I actually have both the guns here. So the 725 field gun, the primary difference, the action is the same, but the height of the comb back here where your face meets the stock is the difference. In a field gun, you don't take the time to nestle your cheek down into the cheek weld area to look down the sights. You're more interested in on the rooster flushing or the grouse or the duck flying by. You just pop up and shoot, and you don't take the time to nestle your head down in. If I nestle my head down in on a field gun like this is, you just look, my eyeball is looking right where the safety is, not even where close down the rib. On a sporting clays gun, we have a couple features. We have the comb is higher back here. And when I put my head down here, now my eyeball's looking right about here, right, just about right down the rib, perfectly, even nestled down. Okay, so you get a much cleaner picture at the target. Your head's not off the stock sight picture at all, and it's a very comfortable deal. The other thing that's kind of nice on the sporting clays and our trap guns is that we have holes in the end of the barrel that refer to as porting, and porting stops for the barrel jump for the second shot. So if you have a follow-up shot, it's very much a positive. But that's a really nice feature of a target gun. The sporting clays gun also has a palm swell in here, and one of the nice things on the palm swell is that it reduces the recoil, felt recoil to your shoulder, and just less recoil all over. Very, very comfortable guns to shoot.
Gotcha. I know one feature going back and forth, I find the sporting to actually fit me a little better. One thing a lot of shooters have not picked up on is when you get a sporting gun that fits from Browning, they still chamber 3-inch shells. If you want to take it on your late season pheasant hunt or whatever it is, you've really lost nothing going to the sporting, plus you've gained some features. Quick side note, at $27.99, your gun fair price is down to $23.98. So give me a shout on that. I have these in 12 and 20 ready to rock and roll. Another one we would have had on stacks, and this is a big one, especially now Minnesota Clay is still a go. They've opened up the amount of time that you have to get logged in and registered, and opened up the length of which these kids get to shoot to accommodate with the troubles we're having. I won't even say the word because we're all sick of hearing it. The 725 trap adjustable comb. Now these are $33.29. You can burn these out right now at $29.96 if you can believe that, free shipping. This has got a pile of features there. Go ahead and rip through them.
It really does. So you get on as you move to a trap gun at the rear end here, you get a nice waffle pad. Very soft recoil, very comfortable. It actually cups your shoulder pocket. Very nice. And then you have an adjustable comb. And the one thing when you the nice thing on an adjustable comb with a Browning gun, there's a term that I like to use called down and out. So I can tip the front end of the comb away from my cheek and down. So when the recoil comes back, it doesn't kick you up into the cheek area, and it's very comfortable to shoot. There, again, you have a pronounced palm swell. You, on the 725 sporting and the trap, you have 3 different settings for your trigger shoe, distance, trigger pull line. They're just so you can customize it to yourself. Whether you have you like a thin trigger, a canted trigger, or a smooth wide trigger. On target guns, you also have a vented midrib versus the field version that does not have that. That's not so much, it's nice when you're swinging in a higher wind situation, which is target, you're pretty much stationary where you're at. The gun barrel will swing much cleaner through the
Yep.
target.
For all the high school students who have stood on the Alex trap line in a 35-mile-an-hour crosswind,
You bet.
the one without the holes like holding the wind sail out.
That's correct. Exactly right, Aaron. So it really helps the follow through of the trigger, because, you know, think about it, when you shoot a target, what your brain is telling you, yep, pull the trigger at. By the time the shot gets there, your brain tells you pull the trigger, firing pin goes off, the target's another 5 to 8 feet further than it is. So follow through is critical, and having that vented midrib is really a nice feature. As you notice on the trap guns, you'll see a higher rib. In our neck of the woods, it's not near as common as it is down south, where you get a lot of heat waves coming off. If you're going to shoot 100 rounds of trap in a day, you get a mirage effect. And having the high rib is really a benefit for that. It takes that away, letting air flow through it. Again,
Sure.
the rib really helps there.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
Hey, Eric, chat came through before you move on past that, the sporting with the adjustable comb.
Yes.
Dale was wondering, does that come with a 60-40 rib or only the 50-50
Okay. So
on the adjustable?
the rib, that's a great question. What's being referred to as a point of impact. A 50-50, a 60-40, or in a trap case would be a 70-30. It really doesn't design, the rib has no matter on that. It's just when they mechanically put this barrels into this gun right here, this is a 50-50, a field gun. It's all based into the receiver here. They nestle the barrels in, and then they line it up so that the very tip of this bead makes it a 50% of the pattern, the top of the bead, and 50 below. On a sporting clays, it's generally always about a 60-40 split, and 60% of the pattern is above the bead and 40 below. If you start talking in inches, it's about 2 to 4 inches of space, not much in between the target and your top of your bead will be your 60-40 split. All the way up to the trap gun is more of a 70-30, and that's like a probably 6 to 8 to 10 inches for some people. And it just allows you to have full view of the bird. All 3 guns are designed to have full view of the bird when you pull the trigger. Just tickle the bottom of the bird with a field. Make sure you see a little bit of space with the sporting, and make sure you definitely see some space with the trap gun. And you'll kind of watch as you're grinding clay targets. When you're hitting the targets, you'll start to embed a sight picture into you. Really don't need to worry about getting precise about that.
I think, Eric, the question really might be moving towards, if I buy the adjustable gun versus the non-adjustable, I believe that the drop it comb is the same on both. Rather than putting the adjustable comb version all the way down, this actual measurement maybe being a little farther of a drop than one that's fixed.
It is. So
it's got a little more drop in it to give you a little more play. I've noticed shooters with bigger faces.
Yep. Fuller faces.
Line up with this adjustable one a little nicer, not adjusted. So it's something to think about as far as that question goes. Thank you.
Yeah. Good. Yep. Good point.
So I do have a couple more that we would have had stacks on barn burners, and I know this will lead into maybe a little lengthier question.
Okay.
Nope, I'm good. The CX, we would have, in the 30-inch specifically, $1,900 gun down to $1,710. on that guy. Beautiful shotgun, packed with features, keeps the price down for most of us.
Yep.
Question I get a lot, and I do have all of these in stock. Aaron, what's the difference between CX, CXS, and CXT? Tops of the waves on those real quick for our listeners.
Yeah, I will. All right. So the CX, you'll notice, has a great mid-rib height here. And it's kind of, the CX originally started off as the verbiage of crossfire. So is cross through all, whether you're going to use it out hunting or target shooting. It's just a wonderful, wonderful gun. But I'm going to start off with I'm going to go back to the CX and talk about it real briefly. And this is designed to have that more of a field point of impact. So it's the top of the bead should be right at the bottom of the target. It's a 50-50 point of impact. You'll notice that it has the low rib style here, and very comfortable. Then you go to the CX, who's going to have the 60-40 point of impact, and it's going to have a little higher rib. It does go to the vent mid-rib, and you have extended choke tubes on all of these. Here's the CXT. You'll notice that it has a Monte Carlo stock here. Right here, it's raised up. So when I put my head down solid on the cheek here, you're looking right down the rib. And that goes more to that 70-40 or 70-30 split, where it's you're going to see a little light between the bead and the target.
Perfect. Perfect explanation. Thank you. I know that clarifies probably a lot of it for a lot of people. It's mostly a fit. So God and COVID willing, after this is over, we can have a few guys in here shouldering them and I can show them firsthand, which is what I much prefer. I know you do too.
Yeah, I do.
One we would have stacked up high, and this one will do just about anything you want it to. This is the Synergy CX Composite, specifically 30-inch guns. You're from over 1,600 down to 1,394 free shipping right now. Absolutely, probably the most universal Synergy we have here. Throw it at the bottom of the duck boat, take it to the skeet course. It really doesn't care because it'll do it all. Still chambered 3-inch. A lot of questions I get from folks that walk into my shop is the difference between even a Satori, a 725, and a Synergy. I know they thinned up this frame. It's definitely a faster shouldering gun for me, Eric. Shoot me some of the tech specs on that. Give me some of your knowledge.
You bet. So in the world of over and unders, the Synergy has the lowest profile receiver in the industry. Okay. Conversely, if you want to hold that, Tom, real quick, on a standard 725, like it's on the CX, this is the highest receiver on the market. And the CX is so much more streamlined, and it's very comfortable to pull up. Back here, and it's very, very nice. One of Aaron mentioned it, all the adjustments on this. So not only you have a real plush recoil pad, influx recoil pad, it'll take up to 25% of the recoil out. So trap shells don't recoil a whole lot, but you take this out duck hunting or pheasant hunting or even in turkey hunting with a high recoil, this will make you feel very comfortable. 25% of the recoil is quite a lot. This comb here on this is very, very adjustable. It's by 1/16 of an inch. Just pop out a pin here, pull this recoil pad off, and it'll go up and down from here. It has one thing I need to step back on. The 725s and the Synergies have mechanical triggers. There's a big difference. Mechanical, I don't need a recoil for the second shot. There's nothing in here. So you should be able to hear it. 1, 2. So there's no time delay at all in between the two shells. If I pick up a CX, a CXS, or a CXT, they are inertia driven. I pull the trigger. If I pull it, the next shell doesn't go off until there's a recoil involved. Then the next shell goes off. So if we're out shooting, the mechanical trigger that's on the Synergy or the 725s is much quicker to get on your second target and pull the trigger. This is, again, the lowest profile. Many shooters really like this coming if they come out of a semi-auto or a pump shotgun. As they bring it up, it's right in line to what they're used to seeing.
Yep.
Because it's about the same height here, Aaron, and I think that's why you see so many people like this.
Yep.
One last thing on this gun in particular, because of all the adjustment here, just fantastic. But this one is truly a neutral comb here. It's a little narrower. And so there is no cast whatsoever. I think there might be a question coming up about casting. And when you have a synthetic stock, it is truly 100% neutral. So great gun. And like you said, it could be used in a duck boat as well, right out on the sporting clays. We sell a lot of these to the high school trap world. Very comfortable and all kinds of adjustments.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned that the heavier loads. Reed's does have the Synergy Ultimate turkeys in stock, being a turkey nut myself.
There you go.
Give us a chat or send me an email. I'll get you a price on that one. Pretty excited about that. We can probably hit a few questions. We're probably at that point. We got some time for some chat questions.
Absolutely. There's a bunch coming through, Eric, and I know we've got a savvy crowd. I can tell just by the nature of the questions. So in the CXT, does that have a palm swell if somebody's left-handed, or what's the best way to approach that?
So the CXT does not have a palm swell, and that does make it nice and neutral for that. On the 725s, we can come across a left-handed. I think you guys, Reed's has a couple of them, 725s.
Yes.
In the CXT, there is no palm swell in it. So that's your neutral there.
Staying with that same theme, earlier question, Blaine was curious, the 725s, are they cast neutral? What are the left-handed options in that same family group?
All right, so I'll refer to as my, some of my drinks of choice is barley pops, but I've lost barley pops on people telling me that this is not cast. It is so slight, but if you actually measure it, generally just because of the imperfections in woods and in the drying process, they generally are slightly cast. They are not designed. They are designed to be neutral, but again, I don't swear to it. It is very close to being neutral, but one gun might be one way and the next gun might be the other way. You almost have to pull it up. It makes it nice.
A lot of years fitting lefties in here. I have to go to a Browning on a neutral. Some of the Italian manufacturers, you'll notice those guys overseas put a lot of cast in their guns. By and large, you can pick up a Browning as long as the lack of the palm swell doesn't bother you. I know the left-handed models are typically special SHOT Show models. I know we put some on order. As of this morning, I had one lefty 725 trap and one lefty, true left-handed, sporty. Shoot me an email, shoot me a chat, whatever you want. I'll double check that for you guys tomorrow morning, of course, and just double check that. If not, we need to get your name on the list. It's the only way to get one. Hard to get. Get your name on the list with us.
And on top of this 8% on a hard to get gun, those would be a great opportunity.
Yep. We're happy to special order one at a special price for them as well.
Yep.
Just as we would have at the show.
Okay, so again, lots of them coming through, so I'll just keep running through these, Eric, so bear with us, and then we'll open up for some live questions as well. One of the things that run into, and this is Martin's got one of the older 80s Satoris, and he's wondering if the forcing cones these days are different than his Satori from the 80s now in the Synergy and the Satori models.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple questions. So what we're referring to is a forcing cone. If you haven't shot a gun with forcing cone, everybody in this participating tonight, if you pulled up a gun that with forcing cones lengthened, you'd pull the trigger. If I put a gun without forcing cones into your shoulder, same load, and pull the trigger, every one of us would say that that gun kicked more. So felt recoil is less with a lengthened forcing cones. You also get a little better patterning out of it. And the way to know whether you have an upgraded one, a newer gun, which is you just look down the end of open the action, look down the barrel. If you see a real distinct ring in the inside of the barrel, like where the chamber would end, where the 3-inch shell or the 2 3/4-inch shell on an older gun would fit, you would see a real distinct taper, and that's about a 1/2 inch. When we first went to the Vector Pro system with lengthen this out, it's about a 3.5 inch. And if I recall, they were saying that most like gunsmiths that lengthen the forcing cone out, it's about a 2.5 to 2 3/4 inches. So Browning not just went to the what's normal, they went above and beyond and lengthened it out.
Mark, if you're on, you can check your forcing cones. If it looks like a 1/2 inch funny discolored gray spot, it's a standard. Now, if my years and dates are right, and I'm 42, I don't believe you have lengthened forcing cones. Browning entered the back bore and the Vector Pro bore market within the last 15 years and pushing hard. So I believe your base version would be without. We bump you up or have your gun sent in to have those forcing cones backboard. The new ones have the advantage of backbore plus a 742 bore, which are 2 gigantic advantages in your patterning your forcing cones. If you have more questions, Mark, shoot me an email. I can get a hold of you via phone tomorrow, and we can get deeper into that rabbit hole. If you'd like, we're happy to do it.
Well, and just following up on, there's going to be, again, you can just tell, Eric, these guys are chomping at the bit for the right kind of answers that you and Aaron have. And so these are super specific, but they're also related to availability too. So for example, John was just curious, can you get an unsingle for the 725 trap that exists these days?
Not there is some out there. They're private label, and unfortunately they're not available for other dealers to bring in. They're out there. They make a set amount of them, and so yes, they're available, but not in our territory, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's real specific models that float around the country, and this second question on availability might fall in the same thing. Okay. This gentleman's wondering, are there any of the 725 sporting high ribs in 2 3/4 only? Is there some 3-inch versions out there?
Oh, I think they're all 3-inch now. And because they're lengthened forcing cones, they're absolutely 3-inch capable. Yep, so not an issue at all. When we first came out with our sporting clays guns, we were specific to leave them at 2 3/4 inch for chamber length, and we've since gone to 3-inch and then did the forcing cones, but because again the recoil is nicer, and because of Aaron mentioned that the back boring capability, our patterns are not affected whatsoever.
Okay. This is one, I think, and, frankly, everybody, Eric has got such proficient knowledge in this. This is one question that I think you love to answer. And before we open it up to live questions as well,
sure.
This came through, and the question was really determining the proper fit of a sporting gun versus a trap gun. And you kind of touched on that earlier, but if you kind of do the Eric expert version of that, I think that would help everybody as they're trying to navigate through the Browning line between 725s and Synergy.
Sure. I'd love to.
That'd be great.
Tom, either the third one down. Yep, right there. All right. What I have here is a CXS with an adjustable comb with 2 little DAP Allen wrenches. They're 7/64 is the size of the wrench. And as you can see, it's cast out for right-handed, out and down. So when you pull up, I do not want, if you ever see a youngster or a shooter that's having difficulty and they pull up their head on a field gun, I'm going to pull up the field gun here, and to look down the sight picture, they tip the top of their head over to see down the rib. That's an indicator that an adjustable comb would be extremely comfortable. The downside, and it's really tough with new shooters, especially high school age or junior high age, where their hand-eye coordination is fantastic, right? But what happens is if you're tipping your head over to the side too much like this, eventually you get a hard, and for a right-hander, you get a hard left target. Your head comes away from the stock and straightens up because that's what's normal, okay? That's what's comfortable. Your head goes from here like, oh my gosh, there it is. And even though you think you're looking down the sight, It's not even close. You're 3 feet behind that target, okay, on a hard left like that. The other thing that I really watch for, and Adam and Aaron, you guys have all heard the stories. When you look down the sight picture here, whether it be a trap gun or a sporting clays or even a field gun, a lot of our guns have a middle bead. As long as that middle bead is touching that front bead, that's great. Because then all those point of impacts that I was referring to earlier, 50-50, 60-40, 70-30, that all holds true. As soon as your head doesn't come down on a stock enough, and I start to see a gap between these middle bead here, and right in this area between the two beads, this is something I want you to pay attention to, for every 1/4 inch of space here at 40 yards, you're shooting 15 to 18 inches higher than your point of your bead, okay? So oftentimes, if you've got a duck out there crossing, or if you got a clay target, certainly you're gonna miss it altogether.
Yep, good explanation.
Hey, you want to follow up on, we had a chat question on gray coil.
We did. Shout out, girls, shout out. Gray coil stock systems, Eric, real quick.
Yep, we've got
my knowledge.
What do you have there, Aaron?
The max that I'm holding.
Yep.
The golden clays in 725.
Right.
And I believe a version of the BT99 all have gray coil. So what all Brownings come with gray coil? And if you can, I'm pretty sure most of them a gunsmith can add it to, but that would also be part of the question is what can we add it to and what models come with them? Okay.
So what models it comes with is that you can get it into the golden clays, 725s. The BT99s have it max, the 725 max, those come with it. And the gray coil allows you to get a real soft recoil, and it comes back, it's very, very comfortable to shoot. A little bit more for the recoil sensitive person, or in all honesty, a lot of shooters that are planning to shoot a lot of rounds in any given day, maybe 200-300 rounds in a day.
You know the ground boys, they're dumping empties on the ground from the second they can stand outside to the second ice up comes. So they're looking at high volume if I know those two.
Well, they would absolutely love this. It allows you to keep your head better down on the stock. And this one does have the adjustable comb, the BT I have here in my hand. You can adjust the trigger pull length. You can actually cast, here I've got one here. I've got a gray coil of sorts without the adjustment, but you can see that you can cast the recoil pad to the side. That's very, very comfortable. And as a rule of thumb, you point the tip right to your armpit as you mark right into here, so that you get no torquing of the gun, so everything stays nice and straight across the rib here. And the gray coil with the recoil reduction is extremely pleasurable to shoot if you're going to shoot a lot.
And I just going by memory real briefly, I believe in crossing paths with Mr. Pat Labe, one of the best gunsmiths in the state, I believe he is able to install those. I know he's installed them in the old trap guns, and I believe as of lately 725 trap non-adjustables, I believe you can put them in, but it would be best to contact Pat Labe in the end if you're planning on adding one to make sure, but I believe he's able to install them in most of your models.
You're dead on, Aaron. Exactly. You said that exactly right. Check with Pat or somebody that does it on a regular basis. They're very, very nice. When you pick one up that's already made from Browning, there's a price savings for you to do that because of the volume that Browning buys them at and the labor's done at production. So it's a nice
back on the parts and the labor for sure.
Eric, one more, and then we'll open up for a live discussion here. Can you get the 725 Sporting without ported barrels? John was curious.
Shop show value, which you guys are a big part of. So there are some available, and I would have to check back tomorrow when those are going to ship. The production runs when those guns would be available. But yes, you can. A lot of that question comes from people in sporting clays world that want to put tubes into the end of the barrel, which allows you to shoot a 12 gauge gun with maybe a 410 or a 28 or a 20 gauge shell in it. And they're going to a sporting clays competition. They shoot different gauge levels with the same gun.
Yep. I believe we put some of those on order this year.
That's what the price is introduced.
All right. Somebody else is chiming in. So the other place
Someone
where that putting things in the play,
Mute.
sometimes they're in a duck boat. When you have porting where the holes are on the end, a lot of times the shooters to your right or left hear that. Yeah.
Hey, Eric, that's perfect. I did want to allow everybody to chime in here for a little bit. And before we get too far into the question and answers, we're asking a lot of really poignant, tight questions. And like we mentioned earlier, the best way to do this is shoot us an email so we can follow up on it tomorrow, or give our guys a call tomorrow, and we'll drill down the details of pricing and availability. I know we're covering a lot of good details, and this is phenomenal information. As you can tell, we've opened with the chatter in the background. We've kind of opened up the mute channels and everybody. So with Eric and Aaron here, I know there's a few more chat questions coming in, but does anybody have any questions specifically that they'd like to ask either Eric or Aaron?
Must be after dinner. Some dishes are being cleaned.
I'll keep rattling through the chats here because they're still streaming in. Real quick, somebody was asking here, why so many 30-inch barrels these days? Why even for field guns is what it said.
So anyways, the longer the sight picture, the more accurate the shooter tends to be, and that with the longer rib.
Okay, talking field guns, no one came across the Synergy standard field guns versus 725 standard field guns, pros, cons.
Okay, the Synergy, which I have in my hand here, this happens to be a beautiful little 20 gauge. Again, you have a much lower profile here. It still has a mechanical trigger, a little narrower in here, both in the grip and in the forearm, and it points beautifully. One of the biggest things on the 725, if you ever get around on the Synergy, is that there's more metal to metal contact on this in the radius here. So the longevity of this receiver working, it becomes a family heirloom, as is the Browning Sartorial. It's a different type of lockup system, and it's very, very durable. Versus a Sartori, do we have a 20 gauge here, Tom? Real quick, as long as we're comparing 20s. Here, I've got a 725 feather. Again, little lighter weight here with the feather on the bottom, aluminum receiver. And this has a more traditional hinge pin set up here where everything pivots right here and on a hinge pin. And the Browning 725 Sartori, one of the nice things that we always tout is that a Sartori wears into itself. It never wears loose. The Synergy, you can tighten that receiver back up after it gets real loose. Both very, very nice guns. Last you a lifetime.
Right on. One quick follow-up there, Eric. Again, these keep coming through on chat.
Sure.
Does 725, 28 gauge, and 410 gauge have the same stock dimensions as 12 and 20?
The
Stock dimensions.
Yep, stock dimensions. I don't believe that they are specifically. No. The 12 and 20 are going to be generally a little bit longer.
12 are the same dimensions.
20 and 12.
28 and 410 are all the same.
Oh, okay. So the 12 is the 20, 28, and 410 are the same, and it's just the fit and feel where they want to have the gun balanced in your hand properly, and that lighter end fore end of the smaller bored barrels is it's a different feel where your hand's going to naturally fit in the forearm. So that's why the dimensions on the stock, everything are slightly different.
Okay, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, just given the timing of where we're at, Eric, as we expected, you did not disappoint. So thank you. I know on behalf of everybody, you just see the feedback coming through. Well done. Bravo. We appreciate it. And I think the main thing is for everybody to understand is, because of the live nature of this, we're really going to count on people giving us a shout tomorrow or later this week, but we have until Sunday to lock up anything that would have the benefit of the gun fair deal and the tax rebate at the same time.
That
So we
8% is phenomenal. Again, tell your friends out there too that you're not going to see these guns any cheaper anywhere in the country than what you'll see at Reed's through this promotion.
Right on. Thank you. And I know there's a few, just for the group, I know there's a few pending questions about their price of this and such. We'll either follow up with you tomorrow or give us a ring tomorrow so we can pin down some of those specifics. Real quick, I think everybody needs to understand this is totally outside our box these days, but we're all reacting to it. If you did enjoy this session, please give us a like on Facebook, Instagram, and such, or tell your friends about the video. We'll get Eric and Aaron's Browning session here out on our website. And it's just something that we can all use here for this upcoming week to be able to go through things. And then if you do have any feedback that we should know about or ways to do this better, please let us know that as well. But thank you for the support of Reed's and for Browning and for the gun fair. We're excited. We're going to be running these for 3 weeks. We're going to keep up with these Zoom sessions. The engagement's been great. And we're helping, I think, everybody get a little bit of that gun spring edge off and a little bit of that gun fair feel on the deal at the same time. I know we're all feeling it. So Browning tomorrow, autos, Browning rifles on Wednesday, and then we'll have more Browning the second week next week, and then also the third week April as well. So appreciate everybody's time. Aaron, any other thoughts?
Just recorded the live chat, so we will get back to you tomorrow and get any of those questions answered. And if it gets deeper, we're happy to take a phone call.
Right.
There's 3, 4, 5 of us here that can get after it. So
Right. Eric,
we'll get you.
Eric, any other thoughts?
Really appreciate the support of Browning. Browning loves this industry, whether it be the hunting or the target industry. We love the support. Thank you so much.
Yep. Good shooting out there, everybody. We look forward to helping you. Have a
Thank
great
you.
night. Take care. Be safe.
See you now.